Hello and welcome to Around the Wickets on the papare.com. It's a very historic program. You know why? It's the 100th program of the Around the Wickets on the papare.com. So we are now at the beginning or almost at the door of a new series. The World Cup's over and now we're looking to some home cricket, and first on the trip or first here in Sri Lanka is the Bangladeshi team. They're here for a 3-match ODI series. Of course, they did have a few injury concerns, particularly the captain name, Ashraf Muttasa, not available. Shakib Hassan rested, and also a few others rested, but still a pretty formidable unit from a Bangladeshi point of view, captained by Tamim Iqbal. But our focus is more Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka have come up with a 22-man squad. We want to first talk about it and then move on in this program. Just to remind you, in case you didn't know, the first ODI is on the 26th and then on the 28th and the last one on the 31st, and all 3 games at the R. Premadasa Stadium. So let me start off by saying a warm welcome to Farveez Maharoof. Lovely to have you with us. First and foremost, the Sri Lankan selectors have taken the unprecedented step of naming 22 players for a 3-match series. Now, if we expand a bit, notable absentees: Jeevan, Milinder, Suranga Lakmal and Vandase from the World Cup squad. There is no Oshada Fernando, who was spoken of very highly and who was also a standby and with the team in England. Angelo Pereira, who was with the team, is not even anywhere close. So what's the thinking? Now you're a selector at under 90 level, of course, but what is, you should know the mind of a selector to some point. What is the thinking here?
I reckon the 4 guys who got dropped from the original World Cup squad, to be honest, it's quite expected. I mean, with the considering most of the facts. But I just can't figure out why Osanda and Angelo don't get a break, because they wasn't part of the Indian tour with the A team, and they were good enough to make the 4 reserves in the World Cup. And obviously, it should be, if it's a policy, it should be the 4 remaining reserve players should be considered. Given the first priority, not the guys who perform in the A team, should be the way. But I just don't get it, and I don't see why it happened. I mean, I don't know why it happened. But unfortunately for Osanda, I mean, as you said, he's been spoken of very highly, Test cricket and one-day cricket. I mean, he had a very decent series in South Africa. But ever since then, he hasn't had a game. I mean, 2 months he was just training with the team in England.
And not fair to judge him.
I mean, it's very unfair to judge him. I mean, you give him 1 game yesterday and he got out. I mean, that's cricket for you. I mean, you play after a while, it's meant to happen. So I reckon, thinking behind Roshan, I have no idea, absolutely no clue.
Yeah, interestingly, Niroshan Dikwella, Danusha Gunathilaka, Shehan Jayasuriya, Dasun Shanaka, Lahiru Madhushankar, Lahiru Kumara, Lakshan Sandakan, Akila Dhananjaya, Amila Aponso and Wanidu Hasaranga. They've all been brought into the 22-man squad. Now, 2 questions. Your thoughts on that, and also Dinesh Chandimal being left out. What is the thinking? Where are we heading? I mean, when you look at these names that have come in and also Chandimal not there, what do you see in the thinking of the selectors?
I mean, all I can say is, I mean, the guys you just mentioned have done well in the Imagine Tour or the A-Team Tour, so in South Africa or in India. But Dinesh Chandimal, again, I mean, for me personally, I think he should be there, at least in the 22, with his experience, and going forward, I think he has a bigger role to play. And I reckon, not too sure about the thinking pattern of the selectors of leaving him out. But personally, I would like to see him there. And
he's too good a player.
I mean, he deserves to be there. But I mean, the names you just mentioned, these boys have been doing well in the 2 tours going on. So rewardingly, they've got a break coming to the national side into the 22. But Chandimal, for me, again, something that very unlucky for me going forward. I think he has a lot to offer for Sri Lanka cricket.
Yeah, well, it was very encouraging for the Sri Lankan board 11. Of course, they did lose to Bangladesh in the opening tour game, but very encouraging because Dasun Shanaka got runs and got runs very quickly. And then Shehan Jayasuriya was amongst the run. Bhanuka Rajapaksa did get a few. And then Lahiru Kumara did get 2 wickets. I believe the Sri Lankans will be looking at extra pace against Bangladesh because we have heard and we do know that Bangladeshis prefer spin to fast bowling. What are your thoughts?
I mean, looking at the 22-man squad, Roshan, so many fast bowlers in the lineup, so I'm pretty sure they might take the option of going for 3 frontline seamers, how they did in West Indies and in the World Cup. and probably.
You think Lahiru Kumara will figure in?
I think Lahiru Kumara's pace will definitely be a key. I mean, I expect him to play a part definitely. I mean, I've been hearing that he's been bowling really quick and really well. So I reckon there's high possibility we might see 3 quicks in Ketaram, leaving a bit of grass. With the hardness of the wicket, with the bounce, he may be useful. So overall, I think youngsters, this is their stepping stone. I mean, we are eyeing 2023 World Cup. So these youngsters getting a break, this is the right moment to put their hands up and grab this opportunity.
Yeah, whilst we talk about all the positive things, I think we also need to pay a tribute to an absolute legend of the game, Lasith Malinga, who will be retiring from one-day cricket. Thankfully, I think he's going to play T20 cricket. I'm not sure about it, but I believe he is going to play because he's a T20 specialist. He loves T20 cricket and just 4 overs. And he seemed to enjoy that much more than the longer stay in one-day cricket. He's not playing Test cricket at all. Someone who played with Lasith Malinga, someone who knows Lasith Malinga very closely, same club. So what are your thoughts and how much of a vacuum would Lasith Malinga be in the one-day format with that white ball at the top and at the end?
I think massive. I think that some void would be hard to fill in straight away. So this is why I said youngsters' opportunity now to put their hands up and take that elusive place of Lasith Malinga, which he has been dominating for so long. I mean, you won't get a bowler like him. A unique action, a unique character. He's someone that he'll always keep you in your toes. Some sort of like that. But he'll be missed for sure. But this was expected going forward after the World Cup. Knowing him before he went to the World Cup, and I spoke to me, he said that that's his plan. So this was expected.
Do greats. Now, one of the issues involving greats is not knowing when to go. That's a problem. I don't want to mention names, but there were few. And people generally say you should go when you're asked why rather than why not. So is that a common issue with great players? But of course, having said that, Sangakkara, Mahela, they were different. They just went when everyone was asking why. So is that something that gets associated with great players wanting to just play one more game, just extend their career, or doesn't it kind of dawn on them?
I think temptation would be definitely there to continue. But I think
wouldn't the body give you a message?
I mean, definitely does. It did for me.
Yeah,
I mean, it did definitely for me.
Exactly.
But when it comes to Lasith, that's a great thing about great players. They will go on their own terms. I mean, you mentioned a few names, Kumar, Mahela, Murali.
No, those were the positive terms, but there were also some negative terms.
Yeah, I mean,
where they had to be got rid of.
Some people might say, some public will say, Lasith Malinga going, is too early to go going, but he knows his body.
Yeah,
and he knows his plans.
I applaud him there.
Exactly. I mean, knowing him, he's someone very firm. If he takes a decision, he does it. And as I mentioned, before the World Cup itself, he casually said that he's thinking like this and try to continue to play 2020 because he got to play qualifying and play the World Cup. So that's his goal going forward. But that's the great thing about top players. I mean, they can go on their own terms. I think for me personally, Lasith is doing the right thing. When you're in peak, when you really miss. But I mean, you're giving a chance to a youngster. So it's up to the youngster to grab this opportunity and show what he got.
Yeah, and talking about youngsters, I just want to touch on Sri Lanka's emerging tour of South Africa. The good news is that the Sri Lankan one-day team, the white ball team, won that triangular series, but not very good news when it comes to the test matches because the first test has been lost by Sri Lanka by 28 runs. Now, we're not going to look into the performance the result, but I would rather focus a little bit on the individual performances. We have been told that Minod Banuka is amongst the runs. He's got 89. Lasith Ambuldeni 8 wickets. Then Asita Fernando's got 5. And the surprise packet, for me, is Nishan Peiris. I mean, look, I take nothing away from him. Never knew that he could be such a capable batsman. He's got a 52 and 25. And he's got 3 wickets. He is known as a tall off spinner who would make his grade as an off spinner. But if this is what he could add, I think that's a huge bonus. And also, with regards to Ambuldenia, he seemed to enjoy South Africa. In the test match, he got 6 wickets. In the emerging game, he gets 8 wickets. So, do you see that there is some promise for the Sri Lankans? Of course, Ambuldenia is already there, but looking at the others?
I think definitely Nishan Peiris, how I see him is like swap for Dilwan Pera when he hangs up his boots. I think he's similar to
Tall off
spinner, can bat decent runs down the order. And Nishan Peris, I've seen him and I've played against him in domestic circuit. He seems to have a lot of variety, and he gets a bounce that that most of the off spinners lack in Sri Lanka because of his height. And Ambuldeniya and Nishan Peris will make a good pair in future. I mean, pretty sure that in few years down the line, when you play two spinners in subcontinent, that these two boys will have a bigger say. And I'm happy to see these two boys performing out of the country, not in subcontinent, in South Africa. It's not easy to get wickets in South Africa because it doesn't spin much, but there's only the bounce. I'm pretty sure Nishan Peris would have, make use of the bounce in South Africa, pick up those wickets. So going forward, this spin duo, I think, will have a bigger say in Test cricket, especially in years to come.
Yeah, indeed, it's very promising, the spin duo of Nishan Peris and Lasith Ambuldeniya. The second unofficial test will start on the 25th of July and it will end on the 28th of July. Well, now we're getting closer home to the domain of Farveez Maharoof, the under-19 super tournament. As you know, Farveez Maharoof had a close look, kept a close eye on some of these young cricketers with the Asia Cup coming up. Yeah. I believe the Under-19 World Cup is also happening sometime early. So how do you see this tournament as a selector, as someone who's been keeping a close watch? I believe you were also involved with the team. Yeah. So how do you see, what prospects do they hold in terms of the future for Sri Lanka? I've been given a few names, Maha, right? Kamil Mishara, then there is Ashan Wickramasinghe. Ahan Wickramasinghe, then there is also Avishka Tharindu, a few names like that, Sandun Mendes in the bowling department, Praveen De Silva. So quite a few names. What are your thoughts? Are these youngsters as good as what these figures say? And do you see, as someone with good knowledge of sporting talent, that these young guys can move on and be the future?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, looking at the squad, Roshan, who played in the Pakistan series, the 21 players, we considered only the 21 players for the Pakistan tour, but we found more players now who are capable of performing at this level. For example, Ahan Wickramasinghe, who didn't play in the 21 man in the Pakistan tour, but this series has been magnificent. And yesterday he scored 100 in a final. So good young talent are coming up, and this tournament. Speaking about this tournament, this gave us a lot of vision towards going forward, because we got Asia Cup, Bangladesh, going to Bangladesh, going to West Indies.
When do you go to Bangladesh?
Bangladesh, I think middle of October.
And then Asia Cup?
Asia Cup is in September.
Right.
And November, December tri-series in West Indies, and the World Cup in January, February.
There's a lot of cricket.
There's a lot of cricket, so it's important to pick the right players. Going forward, at minimum of something close to 22 players. Going forward, put them in a residential camp and train them. And I see a lot of potential.
Do you think the preparation is right, and do you think we're doing the right things moving towards that World Cup? Because we talk a lot about the Sri Lankan under-19, the school system and all that, but the under-19 World Cup and the under-19 big stage has been a disappointment.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the last few World Cups, it's been a bit disappointing, but all I can say is being involved this year and this campaign, I reckon we did the right thing by playing the Super 4 tournament. We should give a lot of credit to SLC for organizing such a tournament within space of 3 weeks, and a brilliantly organized tournament. And we spotted more talent and got them into the squad. There'll be a fight among the players. I mean, competition is there. So whoever performs well in the upcoming trial games and the practice matches going to come up is going to be in the reckoning. And I can easily say that there are about 22 to 23 top players, who's good in good standard. I mean, above school cricket, the standards are really good. I mean, they can walk into the first class system any moment. So the standard is there. It's up to the individual now. There are about 22, 23 players. The competition among them, whoever blossoms will get the nod.
So indeed, very good news for Sri Lanka. The future is looking bright as far as the under-19 is concerned. And it is time for us to end this 100th edition of Around the Wickets on the puparade.com. Well, we asked you a question last week: who was the New Zealand player who won other than Kane Williamson, of course, who was the player of the series in the World Cup? The answer is the late Martin Crowe, the late great Martin Crowe. And the winner is Hiruna Gunawardana. Congratulations on that correct answer from you. And this week's question we're going to ask, who were the first and the last test wickets of Lasith Malinga, who will end his distinguished one-day career after the first ODI against Bangladesh on the 26th of July. And also let me remind you that you need to subscribe to the Papare if you want all the latest and quality content, because I can tell you there is plenty for you, particularly the cricket fans. So that's the story on Around the Wickets on the papare.com. We hope to see you very soon, hopefully after the 3 one-day matches are over with Bangladesh. Until then, it's goodbye.